happy that the Sunday register reading audience knows that she talks with her cats, as she put in her bio, not understanding that we would then print it in the Sunday register. Outside of that, she is an account executive at Hanser and Associate Public Relations. She's an avid runner and a Netflix binger. Lindsay.
In March of 2008, I was a student at Iowa State University, and I had just decided that I was going to change my major again, for probably the millionth time, to performing arts, acting and directing. And in March of 2008, I was in my first sort of main stage production at Iowa State, doing a show called Anton in Show Business, and it was at the maintenance shop, which seats about a quarter of the people who are here right now. But I was excited because Anton in Show Business was this show about doing a play. And it was about people doing an Anton Chekhov play, which I don't know if there are very many theater people in the room, but Anton Chekhov to me represents really like the core of the human experience, and it's funny and it's tragic like real life. So I was doing this play, and it was opening night. And instead of being excited, I was in the green room, this tiny room with 2 couches and a chair and a bunch of mirrors. And with my cast, there was this really heavy tension in the room. And it was because of me. Or at least I thought it was because of me. Because I had just come that day and drove about 2.5 hours back to do this play from my mother's funeral. And the entire time, nobody knew what to say to me. The entire tech week leading up to the play, nobody would really talk to me. It was kind of arm's length. And I understood. But I couldn't help but think that entire time in that green room, knowing that my dad and my brother were driving back to Georgia, not there at that play with me. Is this the place that I should be right now? Is this what I should be doing right now? Is this something that I can and should do? My junior year of high school, Lone Tree, Iowa, tiny town, I was going to my mother's college graduation. And I was very excited because my mom was my hero. She was this person who was making the changes that she needed to make to her life to make it better. And not only to make it better for herself, but to make it better for her family. And she was not only my mother, she was a college student. She worked full-time, eventually then part-time, both days on the weekends, never getting a day off. She flunked out of college when she went right after high school, and the day of her graduation, she was going to be graduating from the University of Iowa College of Nursing, very good, reputable, top 10 nursing program in the country, with honors. And to come back from failing out of college to being somebody who is graduating with honors was quite the accomplishment. And she was going to go on to grad school and do these really amazing things. So, on the day of her graduation, we drove the 30 minutes or so to Hanter Auditorium in Iowa City, and my mom forgot her honors cords at home. So, me wanting this day for her to be the best day ever, because she worked so hard for it, I offered to go drive home and back before the ceremony to get her cords for her, and I did that happily, and the day was saved. But that was one of the biggest days in our lives up to that point. It changed a lot of things. Things were going to be better. Life was improved. A couple of years later, my first year at the University of Iowa in the College of Nursing, early admissions for me, I was walking back from my night anatomy class, the whole block that I had to walk from the hospital to my residence hall. It was spring, and it was starting to warm up, so it was a nice night. And I received this phone call from my father, who told me that my mother had lost her job at the University of Iowa Hospital. And he told me that this happened because my mother had been caught taking excess morphine from patients and was caught using it. In that moment, I had no idea what to say. What was going to happen to my family? What was I going to do? So, my family decided to move to Georgia, where my mother then had picked up a successful career being a nurse. And everything seemed like it was going to be okay. Everything was going well. I came from Iowa State, where I transferred to after all of this happened, to visit my family in Georgia over winter break, 2007 to 2008. And I was sleeping on the couch, totally college style. There wasn't room for me, so I slept in the living room of this apartment that my parents lived in together. And it was okay. Slept until 10 or 11 most days. But this one morning, who knows or remembers, you don't really know if you're quite awake or if you're dreaming, just this feeling of just not being sure like what is real. And I had this moment one morning that I woke up maybe, and in the dim light of the dining room, only 15 feet away from me on the couch, I thought I saw my mother snorting something. And I didn't know if this was really happening, so I let it go. Everything was fine. I was told that everything is under control. I let it go. Not long after that, my mother and I had a mother-daughter day, and we decided that we were going to go to the mall. We sang some show tunes in the car on the way. I introduced her to some new musicals that I had acquired from some friends, and there were probably tacos involved at some point. There usually are. And we went to the mall, and I don't know what spurred this in me. I wasn't in a relationship, serious or otherwise. I was not getting married anytime soon, but I was like, Mom, I really want to go and look at these engagement rings. And she was like, okay. So that's what we did. We did that for whatever reason. And then I was like, all right, I want to try on these wedding dresses. So that's what we did. And I actually tonight am wearing a ring that I bought that day with my mom. Don't know why. She was not very happy with me spending my money on that. But we had that day together. A couple of months after, I was back at school, and I woke up in the middle of the night sobbing, just in tears. And I could not escape this feeling in my gut. I was like, I just have this feeling that my mom is going to die. I had no reason to believe this. I had no reason to think this. A couple of weeks later, I find myself opening night of Anton and Show Business, wondering if I can even do this play right now. And I think back to Tech Week. I had this line. A time will come when everyone knows what it was all for and why we suffer. There will be no secrets. But meanwhile, we must live. We must work. And I thought about that. I thought about that line, and it clicked for me. And it built the entire week. And I knew that nobody was there that could take my place. There wasn't anybody, there wasn't an understudy. If I wasn't in that role, there was no play. And so I did the play. A couple of weeks ago, I got married, and my husband in the audience was with me the night before our wedding, and I couldn't sleep, and I cried because I wasn't going to have my mother at my wedding. And he listened. But I thought, this is what my life is. And no matter where I am or what I'm doing, there is nobody who can take my place. And so I always choose to live.